let me introduce you all to Miss Aashii. Aashii, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to our show. Hello everyone, this is HR Storybook and today we have with us Miss Aashii Chutani. She's the AVP HR of Awfis Space Solutions. Awfis Space Solutions offer co-working spaces for people, employees and employers in general. So, earlier we spoke about how it is important for any HR for that matter to have a diverse range of skills and everything, correct? And your journey has definitely, enabled you to have those skills to be, transformative, to ensure that whatever you're doing is for the best rather, right?
Yeah.
And I also know for a fact that before being an HR, you were a model. All right, so more on that later. And that being said, I would really want to know about your, professional development and the accomplishments that you have had in your journey. Maybe that has obviously, shaped your personal life, your professional life in general, right? So tell us more about that, please.
Thank you, Nishat and team, for having me here. It's a great pleasure. While we may, represent various organizations in our journeys, I think, but then let's agree to a fact that the journeys remain all personal. And it's each to each person, it's a different perspective and perception altogether. So I've been very lucky to have best of the education right from the very beginning. And I've been academically strong. So being in India and being outside, when I finished my master's there in UK, the whole, academic journey was very different from how it is taken up in India. It's more research-based.
Right.
It's more academic material-based.
Yeah.
So that's when I think I started to develop as a person, wherein I felt the whole diverse perspectives, the whole culture perspectives were very, very different. Just made me more sensitive, more inclusive to it. Apart from that, then, once you start working, then the journeys begin officially, and you see how you have to evolve, what things you have to take up, what jobs you don't have to take up. So I think there also I've been pretty lucky at the start of my career. I've been into, so I started with talent acquisition.
Correct.
And later moved to a lot of OD initiatives at the very start of my career, led corporate HR teams, and then today where I am leading a lot of strategic initiatives and all that. So it's been a beautiful journey. And professionally speaking, Nishad, it's sort of brought in a lot of innovation in me, a lot of continuous learning, a lot of rigor that I've gone through to make it happen for organizations. It's been just amazing. Continuous learning is something which is very, very close to my heart as a subject matter. Besides at a personal level, I think resilience is something, adaptability to different people, different environments, culture, even weather conditions.
I'm sure that
It's been just amazing.
I mean, a huge
Yes. And I think the whole journey is beautiful only if you want to learn. If you don't want to learn, I think everything just stagnates.
True, of course.
So it's just that the beauty lies in the change of life. So never say no to it. Just keep evolving with it. After I finished my school, I had a bit of a glamour in my portfolio. And that's when at the peak of it, I realized I was not keeping well and I was diagnosed with a brain illness.
Oh Lord, yeah, we must be
So it was quite tumultuous. And I think that was the first time I realized I had to live. That was my biggest challenge.
right.
So I want to tell this to all people. When you say I have so many challenges to make X happen and it did not happen in a certain way, don't look at it like that. The fact that you're healthy, the fact that you have wellness by your side, I think you'll make it happen sooner or later.
I'm sure.
So the struggle to just live in itself was really, really huge for me. And then, of course, living out of India for a brief while gave me a different perspective altogether to a lot of things. And I think my best learning so far is that perspectives are more important than perceptions. So live your own journey yourself.
Right.
And just be with it, yeah.
Right. That was a very good, takeaway for that matter, Aashii. Thank you so much for that. And I would really like to understand more about the glamour part first before we delve into the HR aspect, how you actually moved into HR. Because honestly, I've had a lot of interviews, right? I talk to a lot of people, but then I don't really see somebody coming from, the glamour industry into HR. I've had people who were, probably engineers, doctors, rather, and even, coming up from, say, BCom and degrees of that sort. But nothing really which you...
Yeah, it's different. It's different in my case, Nishat. So what happened was, I am a dancer. So I started my dance training at a very young age in my life.
Things are you doing? Exactly.
So I think it's great to sort of delve yourself into so many things.
I'm sure
so that you can probably learn the best out of it and of course give the best to it. So I've been a dancer from a very young age. So right from the school performances and stage shows at the district level and everything, the dance bug was always in me, and I joined a couple of dance troupes, very professional names. May not want to take them here, but and then I entered the Glad Rags Mega Model. I won one of the competitions there, and then I think I was proceeding towards the higher stuff of it. Is when things probably took a turn, and when they took a turn, one of the things for me to fall back upon was the academics. I've been academically very strong, and I come from a family. I come from a total business class family where I've been given a lot of freedom to choose what I want to do.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, once I took up academics, I think there was no way back. And I think once you're blessed with great environments around you, it just makes a lot of sense to be with it.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad I did so.
Yeah. And lovely. I'm really glad to know that you had that environment and the people who actually supported you.
It's very important, Nishat, and I think I'd like to bring it to all the parents who have daughters. Please give them wings to fly. They know how much and they know when.
Increase.
So it's very important. Otherwise, people like us, women like us, wouldn't be here.
Absolutely agree.
The families play a very, very important role.
True. I mean, my father especially, he's like a proper girl dad. So we are two sisters, and then he's like, totally into, a very devoted father and everything. He was like, as long as you don't want to do something that is, coming up from societal pressure, I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he would be okay if I turn into, a footballer or something.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a women's football team, but then he would totally be okay with that.
Absolutely.
So that's what, families and the environment does.
Absolutely. Particularly to women around, yes.
Correct. Absolutely. That being said, Aashii, I would also want to know about, how you actually moved into HR then. Because, obviously your career had become stagnant at a point after your illness was diagnosed. And so how did you get that, rigor back and made sure that what you're going to do for the rest of your life is HR?
That's a brilliant question, Nishad. So HR came into my life because I'm a very people-oriented person. I'm somebody who likes to touch people's hearts and minds through the work that I do. So I embrace the power of empathy, and there it is. So I think the humility in me, I never let that die. So I think with all those people skills that I carry within me, and it just comes naturally. I think I never have to try them out and do things in a certain way. But I think it just comes very naturally. So I thought, why not people function?
Correct.
And nothing better than HR. You get to touch people's life, organizations' life every single day of my last, 15 years now? So that's been crazy, yeah. Also could be taken as a message for everybody who's listening to me at the moment. Please keep your hobbies alive. It's just very important. The corporate pressure is way too much. So keep your hobbies alive. Let that spirit in you stay alive always. And I also practice spirituality. So I think when I deal with people, the whole spirituality and the healing factor that I have in it just comes out. And I sometimes don't even realize that things are automatically falling into place. And that's the blessing of the universe. So make sure you are aligned with the universe, with what you are doing and what you're delivering.
Correct.
I think it just makes things easier for you and for others.
Absolutely. When you're talking about, of course, the whole lot of challenges that you have faced in your life, correct? What is the one challenge that you think was the, biggest of your life and that actually made you learn a lot of things and brought you to where you are today?
Nishat, I would like to say this at two fronts, personally and professionally. So personally, it has been my illness. At a very tender age of 18, 19, when you just cross your school and you have aims and ambitions and plans to sort of be at a certain place and do certain things and everything, or everything just sabotaged in just a couple of seconds after I was back from my MRI. So I think that's been very transformative. And after that, my aim and ambition was not to be doing X, Y, Z, not to be at a certain position by a certain age, not to buy certain things, not to have material comforts, but the very fact that I want to live. And that's the message you start continuously giving it to the universe.
Love that.
That you just want to live. Just make me live. And if you make me live, I promise I'll do justice to my life. So there is an unsaid commitment I got into with my universe, and that's when things changed. So, personally was this, and professionally there have been many, apparently. I think the fact that I've been associated with many organizations, and I've got to work with some wonderful, wonderful leaders. Organization development is one part which has always been challenging professionally. So I was working with a wonderful organization in my career, and we were trying to have a complete org transformation done. And it was like transformation from an A to a Z. There was barely anything which was left of the original.
Right, correct.
And I think I realized that there was a lot of resistance to change coming from people.
Of course, yeah.
And I think it was important to know where is it coming from, more than why it is coming from. So I think we did a couple of surveys.
But why did you think that, where is more important than why?
Because I think it can be addressed. It can be addressed in the first phase, and then the why can be addressed in the second phase. So both are important. But however, as an HR team, we can work on one after the other. So I'll pick up one point first.
Prioritize.
Yeah, and then move on in that journey. So I think we did a lot of surveys to find out where is it coming from. Once we identified the employee bucket of the resistance, I contacted their stakeholders, had a lot of meetings with them, and trust me, it wasn't that easy because to get their times also was very difficult. And they say, "Arey, fir se aa gayi ye, wahi baat karne." So we did all of that, and I think then there was something transformative I did here was I introduced town hall to the organization, which was an exclusive town hall. And I also customized the format of town hall. Typically a town hall talks about what the business has done, what the organization has done, what the people have done, what we have achieved, what are our future plans, the business updates and all that. And then you keep about 10 minutes at the end for the Q&A section. So I did a reverse.
Oh, okay.
So in the first 15 minutes, I briefed about what the organization is trying to achieve by doing so, what's in store for you.
Right.
And then I kept the entire 50% of the slot for questions and answers. And we did this, I remember, religiously for about 3 to 4 months, only to realize it has worked so wonderfully well. And the whole resistance kind of was dying off. And that made me realize one thing. It's a different thing to build organization towards the development side. But I think for an HR to build that credibility is very important.
Absolutely.
Before you get into development sides. So when your organization says, we want to go from an A to a B, please understand how your HR department's credibility lies.
Okay.
It's very important to drive it from there on.
Definitely. And of course, listening to employees is one of the prime
I always say embrace empathy and active listening.
Absolutely. Because
there are no substitutes.
Correct. You listen to them, you won't really know what's the resistance that's stopping them from accepting your change, right?
And then, of course, you get to know why that is coming. Of course, then you get to know how can we address that. So it's important to understand the underlying currents and then customize your interventions rather than just going blatantly and throwing a change on people. While your CEOs might say that, but HR should be very careful of it. Look after your people, please.
Totally agree with that. Being an employee, I agree. Please take care of us.
Yeah.
So next up, Aashii, I know that you have been working in HR for the past 15 years, correct?
Yeah.
So, let's make that 20 and think about what you're going to do for the next 5 years. Where do you see yourself rather in the next 5 years?
Moving up the corporate ladder, yes. But I think in a more global context, where the learning is more global, where the implementations are more global, and I think for sure I wish to be healing the human race. Whether I do that through my work or whether I get into spirituality on a larger time basis, but I think for sure, I think it's important to heal people. Nisha, there is a lot that the human race is going through.
Great, yeah.
And there is a lot that they will go through. It's important to keep them healing, and people like us only have to do it. So I think I foresee myself healing the human race.
That's lovely, focusing on empathy, focusing on healing, and making sure that the employees are heard.
Yeah.
I know these three are very important things, right? So that being said, I mean, I know that you have shared a lot of advices for our HR professionals during this conversation, but what is the one piece of advice that you would give them, irrespective of the region, no geographical limitations or anything of that sort? What is the one advice that you would give HR professionals over the globe?
Actually, a lot, got a lot of these. So I think I've already covered it in my previous dialogues when I said, embrace the power of empathy. Let the humility in you stay as is. We see a lot of people saying, ye webinar join kar lo, ye course join kar lo, sharpen your functional skills. That's important. But I think sharpness, the humility also in you. Sharpness, bring sharpness to your human skills as well. At the end of the day, HR thrives on it.
Correct.
And when it comes to humans, when it comes to people capital in an organization, we all look up to HR.
Absolutely.
So my request to HR, and I think a lot of forums, Nishad, that we go to, we always talk about, will AI replace HR? It's been just too boring at the moment. Yeah. We are saturated answering those.
Absolutely.
I have done that a lot in my previous panel discussions and fireside chats, but I think it's important to say that please keep on developing your human skills. No AI is here to replace you.
Absolutely. Even if, when you talk about technology and AI, right? At the end of the day, a human has to feed information into it and only can it work.
Yes.
Again,
so right, and I think it'll create new jobs.
Absolutely.
It's not going to take off anything. It'll just create new jobs. So be open to learning. That's another message. Be open to learning. In a lot of my exercises that I have done, I've realized that when you're open to learning and when you show this vulnerability to your stakeholders, it's a very humble way of being with them.
True. Yeah.
It's a very humble way to say, I want to spend half an hour with you and I want to tell you something about my agenda, but at the same time, I want to learn from you as well over the next 15 minutes. So I think nobody's going to say no to that.
Yeah.
It's just how you approach it. And I find this so humble to say, I'm here to learn.
Right.
And I think it makes difference. So embrace a lot of empathy, stay human, sharpen your human skills, never say no to people.
Absolutely.
So I think develop all of that. Heal people through whatever jobs that you do. And I think don't be scared of AI.
Lovely takeaway there as well, Aashii. I think it's so important to understand that there is no age limit to learn or to gain knowledge and everything of that sort, right? Because a lot of HRs especially, they do think that after gaining a certain amount of experience in their life, they don't really need to learn anything further. They just need to, keep sharing the knowledge that they already have. Kudos to them for doing that. But then again,
so Nishad, those people, very, very well said. Those people actually stay behind in their careers, if I may say, and God bless them, not in any negative sense. But I think when you learn with organization, it's very important to keep those learning with you and keep implementing those learning. It's not just about doing it and then forgetting it. It doesn't go that way.
Absolutely.
So keep learning there. Keep the human skills in you alive always.
Lovely.
Keep smiling. People look up to us when they are in pressure.
Correct.
We need to look up to ourselves.
Lovely. Great. Keep going there. Okay.
I think over a period of time, Nishad, handling that I have done, the whole problem solving that people look up to for HR, it's another thing that I would say. Just putting things under the carpet for HR is no longer going to be the trend.
Absolutely.
Solve your problems there and then make sure the documentation is done rightly. And then,
lovely.
Let people have faith in your processes as an organization.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Aashii. I've learned a lot from you. Honestly, I was here to learn again. So thank you so much for teaching that to me and obviously to our viewers and listeners out there.
Pleasure is all mine.
Lovely. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today for our show, and I'll see you in the next one.